I'm fixing to share a story with y'all about when I was little. I was about 8 years old, and my best friend and I decided we wanted to make a surprise cake. It wasn't nobody's birthday, but we just wanted to do it. So we got together and we decided we had to have a plan. Her name was Midea. So we both lived in house trailers, and her house trailer was, the back end of it was high up off the ground, and because of the way the ground was, and they had to level it that way, so we could play up under there. So that's where we were gonna make our cake. So we didn't have no ingredients. We couldn't ask our moms, or we couldn't go in and make our cakes with our moms, because then it wouldn't be a surprise, and we wanted it to be a surprise. We was gonna surprise everybody. So we come up with this plan. The plan was we was gonna go in her mama's house and tell her mama that my mama wanted to borrow some flour and some eggs. And then we was gonna go in my mama's house and tell my mama that her mama needed to borrow some sugar and some vanilla flavoring. So that was our biggest part of our plan. So we both did that, and it worked. We were so surprised that it worked, but it worked. Because, back then, everybody borrowed from their neighbors. That's just what they did. If they run out of an egg, they just go next door and, can I borrow an egg, So that's what they did. So here it is. We got our ingredients, or so we thought about it. We go back to our spot under the trailer, and we realize we didn't have no pan to cook it in. And we didn't have no bowl to mix it in, and we didn't even have no spoon to stir it with. So she's decided, we sat there and thought about it a minute, and Midea said, well, I'll just go back in my house and I'll just sneak around and I'll just get those items and come back out, and I won't even have to ask nobody. And I said, okay. So I waited for her. She went back in, and she got the spoon, and she got the bowl, and she got the pan. It was a little iron frying pan, had a handle on it, and she got some food coloring. And I said, oh, you got food coloring? And she said, yeah, we want our cake to be pretty. I was like, well, what color is it? It's green. She said that was all she could find. It's like, okay, well, we'll have us a green cake. We just call it a lime cake. So we go back, and we got all our stuff, and we're under the trailer, and we're trying to get prepared and figure out how we're going to do this. And here comes my little sister, Sheila. Now, mind you, she's only 4 years old, and she's a little pissed sometimes. She can get on your nerves. She's really annoying. So anyway, here she comes. And I'm like, oh, no. And then she comes up to us, and she squats down up under the trailer. She's got on her little toy high heels and her little toy pearls hanging on her neck. And she squats down, and she said, what y'all doing? And we're like, we're fixing to make a cake, and you need to just go on and quit bothering us. And she said, well, I'm going to go tell Mama. And I said, you better not. I grabbed her by the arm and stopped her. I said, if you tell Mama, we won't let you have none of it. And I said, but if you will just be quiet and sit here and be quiet, we'll let you watch, and just keep your mouth shut, and then we'll let you have the first piece. And she said, you promise? And I said, yeah, I promise. Hope to die. Cross my heart and hope to die. And she said, okay, but you better not be telling no story. So she sat down, and she started watching us. And we're thinking about, we're starting to mix it up in the bowl, and it's smelling so good with that vanilla flavoring. And then we put the green food coloring in, and it's so pretty. And then my brother Mike walks up, and he's 7. He's 7 years old, because he's a year younger than me. And he says, what y'all doing? And we said, well, we're trying to make a cake, and we can't get Sheila to be quiet, but we're making a cake, and it's a surprise cake. And he said, well, how you gonna cook that cake? You ain't got no stove. And we're like, oh, yeah, that's true. Man, he has a point. We hadn't even thought about that yet. We hadn't got that far with our plan. And then he says, well, y'all just gonna have to hold on a minute, because here comes the school bus right up the road. I'll just
can't believe they decided right now to come up here. There they go. But anyway, so he says, well,
I could help y'all. And we said, how? How you gonna help us? He said, I could build y'all a fire. And we're like, what? He said, yeah. He said, I got some matches. I'll just build y'all a fire and then you can cook your cake on it. And we're like, okay, do it. So he runs around gathering up some sticks and he puts them in a little pile and he lights it. We're like, all right, we got this thing going now. So we get our stuff mixed up and we pour it in our pan and we set it on the fire. And oh my goodness, I don't know what went wrong, but our pan started smoking. The bottom of it started getting smut all over it. It was turning black. It was already black, but it was getting blacker. So we just sat there and let it cook for a while, and we could smell it, and then we're like thinking maybe it's burning, you know. So Sheila kept saying, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? We're like, no, be quiet. We told you to be quiet. You got to quit being so impatient. And so finally, though, we decided it's got to be ready because, you know, we just was ready for it. So we take it off the stove, our little stove, our little fire, and take the spoon. We didn't have no knife to cut it with, so we just dip out a little bite for Sheila because she gets the first bite because that's what we promised her. And so she takes, we hold it up and put it in her mouth, and her eyes got big, and oh my gosh, she got so mad she spit it out as fast as she could, and she said, that's the worst tasting cake I ever tasted in my life. And we're like, oh my goodness. She said, I'm gonna go tell Mama right now. And so she took off faster than we could stop her, and we're like, oh no. So then we're like, oh, we better clean this up as fast as we can. So we put out the fire, we cleaned up our mess as fast as we could. We took that cake, we wouldn't even try it, because if she didn't like it, we knew we wasn't going to like it. So we poured it out on the ground, and even the ants wouldn't eat it, but, you know, we didn't think they would. So that's what we did, and that was our surprise cake. But we decided from now on, if we wanted to make a cake, we'd just make it in our mama's houses. We just have to ask for their help. We didn't ever get in no trouble because I don't know if Sheila told or not, but if she did, nobody believed her. So, because they never said nothing to us. But we know not to make no cake like that no more. And that's my story. The end.